Hi, my name is Theo, and welcome to the Being Healthy is Cool YouTube channel. Why is there a need for free weekly support groups? Well, as a facilitator of a free weekly support group, here are some things I hear often. People only want to listen when I threaten to kill myself. I'm only being treated worthwhile when I'm in crisis. And even the doctors in the hospital won't help me. I've compiled a list of reasons that emphasize the importance of free resources and explain why small groups like Being Healthy is Cool are going to be the new normal. That's right, the future of preventative care and mental health maintenance. And if you're watching this YouTube channel, chances are you think that being healthy is cool. So if you think that being healthy is cool, please give me a thumbs up. I know that there's times in my personal past that I thought the opposite. So I'm here to say that being healthy is cool. Reason number one, rating and regulating your emotions. The check-in method invites people to help each other keep track of the intensity of their symptoms and emotions on a weekly basis. Sharing your daily or weekly levels of anxiety and depression can provide your support group with the insight they need that can, number two, prevent the need for crisis intervention. And this is a great way to get that emotional release coping skill out there. I start my groups every single week with the same check-in. So people go around in a circle and briefly answer these 5 questions. Their level of anxiety and depression for the day and for the week. And everyone's rating system is different. That's going to be a whole other video called Rating Your Emotions. The idea is we want to use coping skills when we're at a 5 or a 6 on our scales before we get to an 8 or a 9. Because once we get to an 8 or a 9 or a 10, our coping skills are no longer going to be effective, and that's when relapses happen. That's when suicidal and homicidal ideations happen. So the next thing they answer is their success of the week. We recognize these successes and celebrate all the small goals in our recoveries. So this is something that I encourage for you to adopt when you start your own free weekly support group. So the next thing we go over is our goal for next week, and then we go over what's something that we're grateful for. And I encourage my participants to think of something new every week. So I do write down what they're grateful for, okay? And so if every week they're saying, oh, I'm grateful for my best friend, I'm grateful for my dog, I'm grateful for this group, okay? That's all great, but the idea is to think of something new each week to remind us of all the things we have grateful for. Now, I'm not a fan of the word impossible, but I have heard people say that, it's very hard or impossible to be depressed when you have something to be grateful about. And I think that there is some truth to this because there's in my darkest times when I've been able to use that, thought challenge of, okay, let's think of something I'm grateful for. For example, one of my favorite memories in recent time was a few months ago when my cousin was singing the national anthem at her homecoming football game. And I was kind of there on the sidelines before she went to go sing to keep her, try to keep her engaged and her active and be comfortable and stuff. And she started singing the national anthem and she paused. She said, oh, say, and kind of looked around in the stadium and everyone went silent. And I knew that she was going to remember the lyrics, but she kind of paused, and for a second, I think she might have considered just stopping, just quitting and running away. But I know that she had the strength to continue. But she was nervous, and that's perfectly normal. She's a wonderful singer, by the way. But she kind of ushered me over and to talk to her, and she's like, I'm fine, but I don't remember the lyrics. And so I was like, oh, say, can you see? So then she's like, okay, I got it. And everyone clapped again. They were like, come on, come on. And she eventually started singing, and it was beautiful. So the fact that I was able to be a part of that formative experience for her as an artist and as someone in high school who was chosen to sing this national anthem, it's honestly one of my favorite memories in recent time. And sometimes I tear up just thinking about it because, she's my family and I love her. So that's something that I'm grateful for. I'm sure there's equally powerful things that can help you de-escalate yourself. So that's why it's important to think of something you're grateful for that's new each and every time. And the last thing we check in with is why you're here. So that's the check-in method, okay? So the reason number one was to rate and regulate your emotions. And the check-in method, checking in, is part of that process of rating and regulating your emotions. And it's also part of helping the group keep track of your symptoms. And so we can all give you feedback. Now I am the facilitator of my group, but we all get a chance to speak and do open sharing, and we also get the chance to give each other suggestions or support in our own ways. It's a part of integrating our own experiences that may be different or similar than yours, but the idea is to give each other support, and you always be surprised about sometimes the people who are participants in the group have just as much insight and important feedback as the facilitator, whether that facilitator has a degree or not. And so I want to emphasize too, I don't care if you have a degree or not, if you're a caring and compassionate person and you come up with some systems and some ideas to help a group process their deep fears and their situations, then start a free support group, okay? You don't have to have a degree in psychology or social work to help people. You don't need a piece of paper to help people. Start helping people now. Okay, so that was number one. And number two is also preventing the need for crisis intervention. And so, yeah, the check-in method is a powerful thing. So next reason, number three, is to learn and relearn new skills. So imagine if high schools offered or required therapy courses in your school, something like, cognitive behavioral therapy or dialectical behavioral therapy or something similar. Do you think you would feel closer to your peers? Maybe more prepared to live a healthy life? We all deserve a proper education, so why not now? Learn about boundaries, effective communication, grief, cognitive distortions, cognitive cycle, self-regulation, rating your emotions, and coping skills. So I feel like our education systems kind of left us out of understanding or trying to process our emotions and our feelings and our thought processes and our social lives and our family lives, communication and stuff like that. So another reason why it's so important to have these free groups is to teach and to learn and to relearn all these new skills. Number four is normalizing what is normal. So a not so hot take, okay, 100% of people struggle with mental health, have had struggles with mental health. And we can get into the different definitions of health and wellness if you want to, but that's going to be another video. So when your stomach hurts for a week, do you call your doctor? When you've been depressed for a month, what do you do? 3 years ago, I spent 5 minutes in a room full of people who are seeking help and support just like I was. And we found it in one another. I never felt so at home before attending groups like the one that I now facilitate. Now, I lost track of those 5 minutes and they turned into more than 3 years of me actively seeking support. And so it's okay if you're not ready to tell others your story, but know that there are so many people like me who are ready to listen, okay? So you might have in your culture, in the place that you live, in the family, and maybe the spirituality that you grew up with, you might see an Ayurveda practitioner, you might see a curandero, you might see an allopathic doctor. But that's a whole other video too. What kind of healthcare systems might be best for you to explore? But number four, normalizing what is normal, is realizing that there's not a person on earth who hasn't been depressed or anxious before. Those are the two most common, they can call it disorders or continuing symptoms that people experience. So integrating your experience instead of separating yourself and pretending like people don't get it or people don't relate, at least some, and they're not going to be able to give you support. I'm encouraging you to get out there and find a free support group and talk to some people, because it's going to change your life like it changed mine. Number 5, mental health maintenance. So in health, there's something called mental health protection, mental health maintenance, and stuff like that. That'll be another video too. But anyway, most inpatient, this is the sad part. This is the reason why, one of the big reasons in this video. Most inpatient and outpatient mental health programs will only treat you if you have active suicidal or homicidal ideations. And if you're withdrawing from drugs like in the last day or two. If you've been clean for a week, they're not going to admit you unless you're having SI or HI, which is a problem. I know a lot of people who actually lie and say they are having suicidal ideations just so they can get the help that they need. But my point is, in doing so, these systems are neglecting those who need ongoing care and support, not just a therapist alone or a psychiatrist, regardless of their ideation. So, is every person likely to admit that they're suicidal anyway? Most people whose families and friends and support system have been urging them to seek support, maybe for years, maybe for decades, they're the last people to admit that they're suicidal. And there's people who maybe aren't necessarily suicidal, but still need help too, okay? So that's about rating your emotions. And when you're at a 4 or 5 or a 3 or 6, getting support before your shit ends up being a 7, 8, or 9. So this is why we need people opening their doors and processing stuff and being a community of support, because we cannot rely on the healthcare systems and our insurances and stuff like that to do it for us. Now, hopefully that will start to change, but for now, that's how it is. So number 6 is the lack of affordable resources. Everything is changing right now. The economics, the sociology, the politics of healthcare is at many turning points. Most of us know now from experience we cannot rely on insurance, government programs, that's what I was just talking about, and effective systems to guarantee good health care. It's time for people who have learned DBT and other techniques to open their homes for others to learn, listen, and share in. So in closing, I'd like to say thank you for watching this video. I know this video might not look as pretty as some other people on YouTube, but this is not Hollywood, and I've been like, okay, I'm going to get a good camera, and I'm just not a technological person at all. So these videos are going to look better, but hopefully that's not why you're here. So in closing, I'd like to say, if you're watching this video, maybe you're a mental health nurse or a counselor or someone who works in the health or wellness fields. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you're just a person who's compassionate and welcoming to others, who have a few spare hours, once a week to help others. Well, if you're one of those people that I just mentioned, and the world needs you. The world needs you to get out there, open up your home and say, let's talk about what's going on. Work together. Be with each other. I've seen ants do this. Okay, I've seen dolphins do it too. So it's not unheard of. And the beautiful transformation that can happen because of this work is not unheard of either. We're going to get listen to some stories of people that I've worked with in this channel and my stories as well. So the transformations that happen is because of reaching out to each other and being a community is not unheard of. So thank you for watching the Being Healthy is Cool YouTube channel. My name is Theo again. Next week, we'll be talking about boundaries. And I can't promise you a cure, but I can promise that I care. And I'm not the only one. Being Healthy is Cool is a global community of support and conversations. So let's talk about what's going on. If you have a question, comment, story, or a video suggestion, you can leave it in the comments below, or you can send me an email at beinghealthyiscool22@gmail.com. I will not share what you share with me unless you give me permission to. So have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.